All right, guys, welcome back to From the Beach to the Bar, mine and Justice bi-monthly podcast that everybody seems to be following now. We talk about all things legal, talk about our usual jackassery, and for a while now, we've had a series of potential judicial candidates coming in for a little bit of Q&A. The person in front of you today, this is Judge Matthew Walker. He is the sitting judge in Las Vegas Municipal Court Department 1. I have known Mr. Walker for over 17, 18 years. When did you start? 08?
08, yeah.
Yeah. So I've known Mr. Walker for 18 years. Jess has known him for the same. We have a friend who's really good looking and a moron. And he referred to Walker as Walker Texas Ranger. So if you ever hear TR, we're talking about Matt, but Matthew Walker. All right. Now, this is what I'll tell you is when I was a city attorney way back in the aughts, Matt started a couple of years after me. We were both trained by the same woman. Her name is Denisha Campbell. She's a wonderful lady. And Matt and I worked with each other for quite a while. He has been with the city his entire career, and he's done an excellent job. You will find one of the things I always complain about is when Matt was a prosecutor and I was a defense attorney, I was a very abusive husband, and he was the abuse-taking wife. And so we had an interesting relationship, but it's founded on love and respect. He's in a race with another person. I believe it is Amanda Pellizzari.
Yeah.
And we're here because we love Matt, and we would like to see him get elected. All right. Now, how we all know each other. Jess started as a defense attorney. He was he worked for the contract holder in Municipal Court Department 5 back in 2008. So he had interactions with Matt when he first started.
Yeah, but I think we started around the same time, huh?
Yeah.
Around the same time.
Yep. You were coming for Leslie Park and
Chuck Live.
Eventually Chuck.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was in Municipal Court 5 in front of Judge Cedric Kearns. I was a prosecutor at the time, and I had just interesting conversations with Mr. Judge Walker. Matt is a very thorough individual. He spends a lot of time thinking before he speaks, unlike me and Jess. And he is often at a loss for words because we tend to talk over him. But like I said, everything comes from a place of love and respect. Known him for 18 years. Had a longer relationship with Matt than I've had with my wife. She was 2012.
I was gonna say it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I remember when you first met her. Yeah. No, thanks for the introduction. I think I really appreciate all that you guys have done over the years, and especially when I first came on, like you said, it was maybe a tough love or I always thought of it as abusive bigger brother scenario, but the same sort of thing. I learned a lot about being a prosecutor. Like you said, Denisha was my trainer, but she had, after I came on, and I don't know if these are too connected, but after I came on, she very quickly left over to the PD's office. So,
and this is one thing I will tell you is that you see this every time we do From the Beach to the Bar, the number of Asians on the panel are heavily outweighing the white. However,
Two.
no,
and 3 would say just here. But one of the things you will learn about me is I am actually an Asian tiger mom when it comes to training and things of that nature. So it is a definite tough love approach. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it really formed a lot of my prosecutorial outlook. I think the way that you handle things, especially in keeping context of the elements that are important and the elements that don't need as much attention, or the elements that we just don't have to take as with so much seriousness or so much deliberateness. It really helped me parse through doing the job as a prosecutor in municipal court. I don't know how much your viewers know, and I don't want to bore them too much, but we're very high volume.
It's triage, for lack of a better term, which means that
Absolutely.
it's more about moving the case along. And obviously, as defense attorneys and as prosecutors, it's our job to fight for the people that need the help. But there are certain situations where It's get them in, get them out. And usually that's a case where somebody's clearly guilty, something like that, or clearly innocent. We work something out and things move on. But it is a high volume courthouse. It is 100% criminal. So this is outside of, most of what Jess and I are doing now. But Matt, talk about where you came from. One of the things I know about Matt is he doesn't know how to swim.
That is true. That's because I grew up mostly in a landlocked state. I grew up in South Dakota, at least during the school year. Just in case anybody's concerned, I have deep ties in Vegas also. I spent every summer here since about '88, so I got to grow up along with Vegas as well. But yeah, not a lot of opportunities to go swimming on the beach in South Dakota.
Now, one of the things is, didn't you go to like a one-room schoolhouse for a while?
That's a good memory. Yeah, no, it was a 2-room schoolhouse. We had K through 8 all in one building. It was, very little house on the prairie. So I would go from that to Vegas in the 90s, which if anybody was around in the 90s that's watching, it wasn't the Wild West of the 80s, but there was still a lot of interesting things going on. So, just life experience it added a lot to to making sure that I understand perspectives.
Okay, so what was your hometown in South Dakota?
I was saying, what's the population of that?
Well, that was the second question.
No, it's called Winner, as in not the loser. It is 3,500 people.
35.
Yeah. 3,500 people. You fucking knew everybody, and they knew all your business.
How close was your closest neighbor?
So I grew up outside I grew up 30 miles from the nearest gas station.
Jesus Christ.
So the closest neighbor is typically out there anywhere from half a mile to 5 miles away.
When I was in college, I was 106 steps from a Burger King, and I knew that because we counted them. I was going to say, how do you know? How do you know? And it was still a struggle to go 106 steps to get to Burger King. But 30 miles, that's crazy.
Is it a farm? Like, did you have animals?
Oh yeah, no, we had so I grew up on a farm and ranch. So I'm not a cowboy, but I did a lot of cowboy things, riding horses, fucking sheep, cattle. No sheep in South Dakota. I'll what he does.
Some goats.
He's my dad. All right. So you grew up in South Dakota. Winter, you graduated from Winter High School?
Winter High School.
There you go.
Spot on.
Yes. And then you went to the University of South Dakota, correct?
Yes. Yep. Wow, that is a good man. Did you do research?
No, man.
That's impressive. Yeah, so I went
to like fucking Ring
Line. Yeah. It's like a Rick Pit. Is that the Jackrabbits?
No. Good guess. No, that's South Dakota State University.
Oh, you saw the OC.
We're the Coyotes. Or Coyotes.
Is that a D1 school?
Did it? It's D1 now. It was not Coyote College, but yeah, so I stayed in state.
And you actually went to law school there as well, correct?
I did. Yep. It made sense to go there in undergrad, and when I was an undergrad, I was lucky enough to have a grad assistantship, and they extended an offer to me. They knew I was going to law school, and I would be able to continue that if I went on to law school, and that was a substantial financial benefit. So I ended up staying in Vermilion, South Dakota for 7 years.
Vermilion.
Yes.
That's a color. I couldn't tell you what color. Is it yellow?
It's red. I think it's red, right?
It was a purple.
I don't know. We're phoning a friend now, right?
Yeah. Come on, Kyle. Come through. What's Vermilion?
Purple.
Hey. That's red, homie.
Is that red?
That's red.
So
no purple there.
Between red
not like your penis.
Chef.
I'll tell you fun fact about Vermilion. It is right on the intersection of South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska.
Oh, so you're on the east side.
Yeah, way over on the east side. And way back when they had 3-2 beer, when they had the drinking age, before the drinking age went to 21. In South Dakota, they had the 3-2 beer. In Iowa and Nebraska, they did not. And so
3-2 beer is 3.2% alcohol in a beer. The standard at the time was
if you were 18, you could drink 3-2 beer. That was the only alcoholic drinks you could have. And you had to be 21 to have everything.
How do you regulate that?
Yeah. And that was the problem. There were 2 main arterial highways that came from Iowa and Nebraska that went right into town. And so at the time they had something like, this is a town of 10,000 people. They had something like 60 or 70 bars. And they all...
That's my type of place.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Well, there were so many accidents and so many alcohol-related accidents on those two highways. It was cited in the briefs for the I was Dole. I can't remember the state. The Dole case that ultimately led the feds to increase the 21 and up drinking age.
Listen to this guy quoting case law.
I don't know. It's just interesting. You know, a little touch of history. I went to the college that was at least partially
Part of the
responsible.
driver to take it from 18 to 21.
Yep.
So all you 18-year-olds are not going to vote for Matt now. All right. So you graduate, you spent your life in South Dakota. Your dad lived out here, right? In Vegas.
Yeah.
And so you'd come out every summer and you'd be with your dad over the summer. What made you decide when you graduated law school that I'm going to go the Vegas route as opposed to the South Dakota route?
You know, again, like I said, I grew up, sort of grew up here every summer, and I always love Vegas. I mean, there's so much opportunity here, so much variety of things to do. I mean, obviously we've got the Strip, we've got all the tourism related stuff, all the spectacle, which is amazing, unique, but we also have all the natural stuff as well. You can go out to Red Rock, you can go out to Charleston, you can go out to Lake Mead, and all.
You don't go out to Lake Mead. You don't swim.
No, but I go to Black Rock Canyon just on the other side and sit on the beach.
Life vests, Ben.
And watch as other people enjoy the lake.
But no, there was
Actually, did you ever go on the boat with us?
I did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I used to have a wakeboarding boat with my ex-wife, and what do they say about a boat? The best 2 days of a boat are the day you buy it, the day you sell it.
Yep.
Do you still have it?
No, fuck no. It's a lot of work. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it seemed like it. I remember we went. I only went out with you one time, and I think it was right after you got it. And
Was Denver there? Was I there?
Denver was there. You were probably there.
I was there because I remember. I remember Denver being there.
Detmer is he's the guy who used to work with us in the city attorney office, Michael Detmer. He is a longtime attorney general. What department is he in now? Boxing commission?
No, he oversees 5 or 6 departments now. I don't remember what the specific divisions. He was involved in cannabis at one point.
The irony of that.
I think he might still be.
When you think of Michael Detmer, and Mike, I hope you're listening, think Peter Principle.
Jesus. He's gonna get here for the Google. Wow.
But yeah, so I went. So I came down.
It's
to
that latter one right there, buddy. To the right.
There we go.
That's mean, Ben. Stop it.
It's an anecdotal reference, I think it was.
Love you, Mike. All right. So you decide to come to Vegas because you're right. It is I came from San Diego, which is a wonderful place, but in terms of opportunity, when you're doing things like prosecution or defense or any form of criminal work, San Diego was kind of, in California in general, is kind of a saturated market. One of the beauties of being out here in Vegas is that you have opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily have in another state. And so I understand exactly why you came here, but you came here. Your dad worked for the city at the time, correct?
No, at the time he actually worked for DOE, for the U.S. Department of Energy. He worked out at the test site.
Oh, really?
Yep, at the nuclear test site. That's where he came. That's where he started, or where he worked. I think for probably the first 5 or 6 years that he was down here.
Interesting.
And so he was out there when they were doing the final, the last nuclear testing, actually out at the site.
I believe that's pronounced nuclear.
You know what? I'm glad I don't have to say it on record.
But so you came out here, you got a job with the city, and it was a very rigorous interview. Trust me. I went through a couple of rounds, and it was interesting to say the least. But you got hired, you got trained, and one of the things they do when you're in the city is they kind of throw you to the wolves within a couple of months. And the city is really focused on, or at least at the time, it was focused on trial practice. Try a case. If you have an issue, try a case. If you lose, you learn from the loss. If you win, obviously you did your job. And so for me personally, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I really feel that that's an excellent way to teach somebody is don't show them, make them do,
I think that sink or swim approach is really effective if you have what we had, which was a reference. So like you said, like we're talking, you were there. Ed Pileski was there at the time. Mari Orsinelli. These are city attorneys that have since retired, or deputy city attorneys. But I think the immersion process where you just go do it, but you have someone that is a reference at hand so that if you run into issues, if you have complications, you can reach out to them for guidance and direction. I know there were a lot of times, I reached out to all three of you as part of the learning process, but you're not there in the room with me. And so as a new deputy city attorney, having to make those decisions, having to learn when you do something wrong. And I think you learn so much more from a mistake that was a result of split-second thinking or a result of inexperience than you do from simply observing and copying.
So one of the things is, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing between Winter, South Dakota and Vermilion, South Dakota, the population was, let's say, a little bit lighter skinned than most of the folks are used to.
The demographics are definitely different up there.
Okay. And so you come down here, and one of the beauties that I've always loved, especially about the city, and the city isn't like the Strip. The city's like Fremont Street, the downtown area. And so people don't get that, but like the city's incredibly diverse.
Absolutely.
And in terms of like economics and things like that, you deal with everybody. You have billionaires, you have homeless folk, and everybody in between. And so coming from a place like South Dakota down here, obviously you're here over the summers and you've been over the summers for a while, but at some point it had to be a little bit of a culture shock. Fair?
It was interesting. I think going back and forth did give me, an appreciation of different perspectives and different outlooks. But frankly, there was a lot of learning that came with the job. As a prosecutor, you spend a lot of time, and you know this, and I'm sure doing defense work, it's similar, but
Everybody thought Jess was a prosecutor for years, but
Oh yeah,
there's a story.
years.
You spend a lot of time talking with witnesses, and you talk with witnesses from all walks of life. They were witnesses for a reason because they were there when the incident happened. And, there was a lot, in being able to talk with folks and find out their stories that I learned about, different cultural approaches, different perspectives on what was fair, different perspectives on what was just. And it was, it was really helpful to calibrate.
right now, guys, Anthony is pretty much like just exploding over the corner. So, Matt, we're sorry.
Oh,
Sweep the leg, Johnny.
Furniture malfunction.
Sweep the
This
leg.
is professional.
Did
We are
Ben sit on
very-
that too?
Oh my God, I don't break that many chairs.
Holy what? He rigged them all.
But I will say, and something I said a lot, after I'd been a prosecutor for a while, I had no idea the things that people would feel comfortable telling a prosecutor or feel comfortable even telling the police. There were times that just blew my mind.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of oversharing. And one of the things I've always talked about is as a defense attorney and as a prosecutor, you do have to have a bit of a poker face. And one of the things that Matt is definitely good at is having a poker face.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I think, and that's something that translates to the bench. I'm sure you can imagine as a judge, you have to take the evidence that's presented to you. You have to take every argument. You have to give it merit. You have to give it a fair.
You don't have narrative. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
You got but merit's the wrong word. You have to give it consideration. You have to listen to it. You have to evaluate it. And part of that is really maintaining that poker face and regulating any sort of initial reaction, because there may be, like you said, if it's an argument that seems spurious,
That's bullshit for regular people.
it might, you might have a reaction like, oh, okay, why are you really arguing this? And one, you have to control that emotion because you can't let that factor into your decision. Two, you don't want to cause the parties to pivot or feel like they need to change their arguments based on an emotional reaction you're having. So being able to build up that skill has been, very helpful for me.
I remember one time I did a trial when I was a prosecutor, and it was a possession of drug paraphernalia charge. There was a pipe. And this dude was like, it wasn't my pipe. I was just walking down the street. I saw this pipe, and I picked it up, and I said, oh, this is a really nice pipe. So I kept it. And he didn't realize that was enough to convict him of the charge of possession of drug paraphernalia because he picked up said pipe and kept said pipe. And it's just, those are some of the interesting things where you hear it and you're just like, I rest. I'm done. Yeah.
There's a story I tell sometimes. I guess it's a little bit off color, but there was a prosecutor that was there the same time we were. named Steve Rini. And Steve had a case one time. It was a traffic case where a defendant had been charged with blocking the roadway. And he talked to the defendant was challenging the case. They scheduled for trial. So Steve goes to talk to the officer that issued the citation on the day of trial. And the officer says, I was driving, I was driving through this neighborhood. I saw this guy was trying to flirt with a girl that was on the sidewalk. And so, I drove around him to let him know I was there, give him a little bit of notice, went around the block, came back. He's still there blocking the road. So that's why I wrote him the ticket. And so Steve says, okay, well, that makes sense. So then he goes to talk to, at the time the defendant was, there wasn't a possibility of jail time, so he didn't qualify for a public defender. He was representing himself. So Steve goes to talk to him before the trial. And he says, well, tell me about what happened. The guy said, oh, no, this ticket is BS. He goes, he wrote me a ticket for blocking the road. I didn't block the road. Nobody was coming through. I was trying to pick up a prostitute. If he would have written me a ticket for that, I would have paid that ticket. And that was not something I would have expected someone would tell a prostitute.
And that is something that would happen in the city often.
Yeah.
And they're like, city prostitutes are not strip prostitutes. Let me just put it to you that way. There's always the $5 Fremont special. I once prosecuted a woman who offered to give a guy a blowy if he bought her a chili dog. So because there was a transaction for value, chili dog for blowy, ironically, she was inhaling a chili dog and she was about to inhale something else.
Prostitutes are hungry too, Ben.
Hey, the host got to eat.
Kyle.
Roll it over here, buddy. You could have rolled it. No, there you go. Here's the thing. You guys don't see Kyle. Kyle's sweet and he's pretty. I'm just going to leave it at that. But, all right. So here's the thing. You come here, young buck. How old were you when you graduated law school?
Late 20s?
Late, really? I thought you were mid-20s.
Maybe 26.
Okay, so 26. So on the mid end of late. And so you come out here, young buck, you do this job until when did you take the bench?
Last year, so 2025, February of 2025.
So 08 to 25, so 17 years you're a prosecutor.
Yep.
And then you take the bench. You had done some appellate work, because as a prosecutor, you do appellate work.
Yes.
Good role, buddy. Good role. I'm proud of you, pal. Prouder.
Nice.
So you have had some both written and trial work. No defense work, nothing like that.
No.
But you transition onto the bench.
Right.
And how do you incorporate your experience into being on the bench?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the appellate work because I think that was really critical for me to understand judicial perspective. Because for your listeners, when a case is appealed, as the attorney, you actually get a video copy of the trial that happened. Typically, you'll get a transcript breakdown as well. And as the prosecutor, it's a great learning tool to understand where the mistakes were made and to evaluate how things came across. Because a lot of times when you're in the moment, you don't realize the perception that you're giving. You're feeling a certain thing inside, you're projecting a certain thing outside. And so it's very informative in that way. But as a judge, I think it was even more informative because it gives you an opportunity to see all the different places where the record needs to be maintained, where the legal processes need to be documented to make sure that due process is met, to make sure that the law is being followed. And so I think the appellate work, and I'll throw kudos to myself on. I did have a case go up to the Court of Appeals that was.
So the Court of Appeals is that's the middle court. Essentially, middle. It goes courts of limited jurisdiction. That's your justice courts and your municipal courts. Then it goes up to district court. And district court is where you do your jury trials, civil and criminal. And then the next step after district court used to be, when Nevada was a little bit smaller, you just go straight to the Supreme Court. But was it 16-ish?
That sounds
10-ish years, yeah.
Yeah, about 2016, we created an appellate court, which is a middle court between the Supremes and the district court.
yeah.
And so when Judge is talking about going to the appellate court, what that means is he had a case at a limited jurisdiction level. It went up to the district court level. where they heard it and it went a certain way. And then it was appealed to the appellate court. And one of the jokes attorneys have that most people don't know about the appellate court is they're great at just telling you do what the Supremes did in this unpublished opinion, and they create no law. And so what you're saying is you actually had a case that went up there that was affirmed, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so I put on the trial. The trial was a conviction. It went to district court. District court reversed the conviction. So I appealed the district court ruling, and the Court of Appeals reversed the district court, reinstated the conviction. So we were really happy about the outcome on that. But it was also just a great experience to have to put together something that met the rigors of a Court of Appeals filing. I'm sure you've done that type of stuff, and you understand there are a lot of things that procedurally the higher courts require, and so it was a great exercise in that.
I will reserve judgment on how the higher courts work because we still practice there, but let's just say it's challenging sometimes. Formatting is challenging. One of the things that's funny is having been a city attorney, I can tell you that the rotation, so the time you spend in each court, is roughly 3 months, and then they transfer you to another court. And the logic behind it is they don't want you to get overly familiar with the judge to get overly familiar with you, and it creates a relationship that may be, for lack of a better term, unprofessional. And so they would move prosecutors around. But when you're in the appellate court, when you're in the appellate rotation, that's a double rotation. So essentially you're doing 6 months. And one of the jokes Matt always makes about me when I was in the appellate rotation is that I never got so much sleep in my life, one, and two, that I continued everything and eventually until I absolutely had to do it.
Well, I think you actually left the city attorney's office when the deadlines came.
That's not true because I, unlike Mr. Walker, undefeated in appellate judgments when I was with the city.
I will say I lost appeals.
I probably did 12 in 6 months though.
Yeah, no, it's a great rotation again, especially when you go back into the courtroom and you have that experience. But to kind of get to your initial question, being on the bench, that perspective again, seeing it from that sort of bird's eye view of here are all the pieces of the trial. Here's what the defense did. Here's what the prosecution did. Here's what the witnesses said. Gave me a lot of insight as a judge, the sort of things that I would be considering. And that was one of the biggest, and I guess really to me the most interesting changes being on the bench is as an attorney, you go in prepared, like you have access to everything. You have all the evidence. You've spoken to the witnesses. You reviewed all the police reports. As the judge, by design, you have nothing.
Well, that's bullshit. You guys do PCs.
But that's.
And for the record, what PCs are, it's probable cause hearings. What they are is when somebody's initially arrested for a charge, it's the city or the law enforcement's burden to show that they had probable cause for the charge. The judges review them and approve that there is probable cause or is not. So they do review the police reports. However, to be fair to Judge Walker, it's probably at least 3-4 months between the PC and the time you actually hear the trial.
Well, and it is the obligation to not consider anything that was part of a PC review. And while, yes, technically I have access to it as part of the court file, I can't consider anything that's contained in that PC review document or a PC review packet as in making any decisions at the, on an evidentiary level or at the trial level. And so it was an interesting shift to have to make a decision based on what the attorneys give me. Versus as a prosecutor, you feel like you have almost the whole picture. You don't have everything. You don't have the defendant's piece of it, but you do have a much more thorough picture, and you can evaluate the case in a different way. And so I think as a judge, looking back on that appellate work, I think was hugely hugely informative in terms of how to evaluate the evidence that's been presented to you.
And one of the things that's funny is, like, when you're a city attorney, you work with these people, Monday through Thursday, 10 hours a day. You're very close to these people. Obviously, with how many city attorneys are there when you left? 12. Okay, so they're 12. So you don't necessarily hang out with everybody, but you hang out with a decent amount. And I'm not trying to talk out of school and things like that. But from my perspective, it's funny switching over from prosecution to defense. Like, what people say when they go back downstairs, if they won or lost in terms of their ability, versus what you see as a judge, it's got to be quite different.
It is the sort of thing where I've had some adverse rulings with the city attorney's office, and that thought has crossed my mind. Oh, I wonder what they're going to say when they go downstairs.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I went downstairs and I was disappointed, this stuff that, the things that we would talk and the sort of, sometimes is hyperbolic. It's venting, it's frustration coming out. But there is that curiosity of,
Hyperbolic for the people who watch our podcast. That's just frustration.
Just call our viewers dumb.
I just call them common folk like us.
that's a song, right? Isn't that?
Sure.
Oh, and it is. I agree. I think it is interesting the things that you take away as a prosecutor, and I'm sure as a defense attorney. Oh, why did the judge do that? Versus being up there and in the bench, in the row on the bench, and seeing maybe someone's making an argument, but they're not hitting all the points, and realizing what they're trying to do, but making a decision based on what they're actually doing, not what they're trying to do. And it sort of gave me a little perspective. And, how many times did I go back downstairs and complain when it was because I just didn't do the job I thought I did?
Well, that's one of the things. What's funny is, like, I always tell people what's on paper. Like, every case, if you just read the police report, client, defendant is going to be guilty, But what's important is, and this is why I love going to trial and things like that, it's not about what's on paper. It's about what you hear. What you as a defense attorney or prosecutor hear, what the judge hears, because what they hear is not everything that's in the report 9 times out of 10. And as a defense attorney, it's your job to supplement that, to add the defendant's piece of the, pie, for lack of a better term. And it's also the defense attorney's job to show how an officer may have assumed something that wasn't necessarily true. And as a prosecutor, it's your job to essentially polish up all the holes you have from, witnesses, officers, things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a defense perspective too, I think it is, those reports are a great source of finding where there were deficiencies, where something could have been done more thoroughly or could have been done in a different way. And I see that more on the bench. I see that, being presented in argument. And it is, I don't know. It is very interesting. And I think, you pointing out a lot, what's in the reports, what's in the evidence, sometimes doesn't come in at trial. Sometimes it's a strategic choice. And sometimes it's a result of, someone missing it, or an attorney just not having a chance to, just not having a chance to get back around to it. But again, that piece of the report, or that piece of the video, or that piece of physical evidence, if I don't see it as a judge, it doesn't go into the analysis, which is a result of our process. But it's also a very interesting thing you consider, and something that, members of the general public don't. Members of the general public just think if they get up, they'll get to tell their story. And that's just not how the system works.
One of the things also, ladies and gentlemen, is I talk about the love and respect that, Judge and I and Judge and Jess have. One of the things is Jess and I constantly harp that the cities are a little bit rigid in terms of their requirements and in terms of the things they do for lack of a better term, newer criminals versus, the county, which deals with hardened criminals and things like that. And one of the things I've always been hard on is that Judge would sometimes follow the company line or follow what the city was requesting when he knew that it wasn't necessarily, I shouldn't say he knew, but to me, I assume that he knew that what he was asking for wasn't necessarily equitable with the case. I have found, and so I was always hard on him because I always expected more from him, because I know who he is and I know he's a smart guy and I know that he puts the time and perspective and effort into these cases. One of the things I've appreciated while he's been on the bench for the past year is that he doesn't necessarily toe that same line, and he's open to debate. And so I don't know how you got there, and obviously you weren't working for the city in a prosecutorial fashion anymore, but what made you open to the idea that this might be a little bit much, for lack of a better term?
Well, I think, changing roles as a judge, it's a different position. So I'm not taking the role of serving as an advocate for the city, and as I was, and I always took that to me. That was the prime role as a prosecutor. Is you're representing the city. Obviously, they have a duty, and when I was a city attorney, obligation to seek justice. As a prosecutor, that is the from an ideological standpoint, that is your main focus. But as a prosecutor, the idea is you're seeking the interests of the city, the community at large, and the victims of a particular crime. And so that
alleged victims, allegedly.
and that is a perspective. I talked earlier about having to talk with witnesses, and there were many times after talking with witnesses as a prosecutor, what I felt the interests of the city would change based on the veracity of their story. But it is, and I think that might have colored some of the decisions that you're talking about, where I felt that it was in the interest of the city. It was my job to representing my client, to put forward a prosecutorial first approach. But as a judge, the whole role is to be impartial. The whole role is to, one, follow the law, and two, make sure that the law is being applied fairly and evenly. Obviously, if we get to the point where someone has been convicted, then it becomes an issue of accountability and punishment versus rehabilitation versus treatment. But that's only when we get to the point of post-conviction. Pre-conviction, again, everyone comes to me with a clean slate, and each case needs to be handled on its own merits. And I think that's the province of a judge. We have to have that perspective.
Now, one of the things also that Judge Walker was very instrumental in was creating some of the specialty courts while he was in his role as a prosecutor.
And so, yes, I was involved with our mental health video calendar. And for listeners, when someone gets arrested and they're in the city detention center, if they get flagged as potentially having mental health challenges, they are placed on a separate special docket. And one of the things I noticed when I was assigned to that docket was we did have a lot of regular repeat offenders, and the typical process was not working. Arrests, any certain amount of jail time, the programming that we had, the sort of generalized programming that we had through the court just wasn't reducing recidivism. And from a human standpoint, people were being arrested, people with mental health challenges.
And just so you guys understand, like, Jess and I probably in like 2 seconds can think of like 5 different homeless folk that we saw on a regular,
that we still see,
on a regular basis. Like buff dude, he was in
buff dude
on Fremont.
Yeah,
always like a little bit ashy, always shirtless,
but just jacked,
But literally, he'd be in custody every 30, 60 days.
But he's keeping up fitness, which is impressive.
Clearly, yes.
Priorities.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Right. No, and those repeat offenders really kind of, drove me to try and figure out a way to address it. And what we did was I worked with our detention and enforcement. I worked with the state psychiatric hospital. We came up with a program where we identified people that were in mental health crisis that were in custody. We got them out of that incarceration environment, got them over to a locked and secured facility. So we didn't have a negative impact on public safety, but we got them into a clinical treatment environment at the hospital where they were able to get, have access to medications that the jail just wasn't able to provide. They had access to treatment, and obviously it's a different, more therapeutic environment. And once they completed a regimen of treatment, we then brought them back, gave them an opportunity to have their cases. Ultimately, the majority of them have their cases dismissed if they maintain treatment. And that was one of the things I was, I've been asked what's the thing I was most proud of at the city attorney's office. And there were a lot of things, a lot of folks I was able to help during my almost 17 years there, but the +T program.
One of the things he was most proud about was his 0.32 blood alcohol level with his handheld breathalyzer.
No, it wasn't a 3.2. It didn't go that high.
Was it a 2.8?
Might have been a 2.
That's
delete
impressive. Yeah. That's not coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I do want to point out is, like, for our conservative viewpoint, listeners, Judge isn't talking about woke shit. If you look at the homeless population of Las Vegas, economically, they are a huge drain on the budget of the city of Las Vegas. I don't know what it is now, but what was it, like $75 a day to house somebody?
It's up to twice that. It's up to 150.
So it's $150 to house somebody. And if you have these repeat homeless folk, they're a huge burden on the city's finances. So from an economic standpoint, for conservative viewers, you have to realize that in getting them services, in reducing their recidivism, you're actually helping the city's budget out. And I'm sure that that was one of the things that you thought about in creating this program.
Absolutely. We got the program off the ground and we got it running, but it was an unfunded program at that time. It was really, I had a lot of latitude from the office. I had a lot of latitude from the court to kind of build it out. But I relied on community partners to really do the coordination. Well, once we had everything, once we had a process in place, we had procedures in place, we then looked for funding, and we went to city council to secure funding. And one of the things that we used to demonstrate the efficacy of the program were cost savings. We saved the city in the area of $600,000 in incarceration costs over the duration.
No shit. Was that annually?
No, that was over I think we went to city council for funding in year 4, maybe 4 or 5. And so that was an aggregate of all the defendants that we had.
So that's 120 to 150,000 a year in savings.
And that was that was in you can talk about those are fixed costs. The jail is not going anywhere. Yeah. But that's based on a per day calculation for all the time that we had people in the hospital rather than in the jail. And the other component I mentioned, that if they stayed treatment compliant, that they could get their cases dismissed. This wasn't without accountability. When people came back, if they wanted to opt for that, there was jail time hanging over their head. And so if they didn't follow through with their treatment obligations, there was a possibility they were going back into custody. And we didn't do that necessarily for punitive purposes, but a lot of times people would become treatment non-compliant after a certain duration, and we needed to make sure that accountability piece was there as well.
Mm. And so one of the things is, I always, like I said, I've known Judge for 18 years. And I always thought that he was going to go the civil administrator route, which is, go over to the city civil side, work on, ordinances, regulations, things of that nature. Clearly, you didn't do that way. You went and decided to put in for the appointment, and you became appointed to be a judge.
Right.
What made you decide you wanted to go that route as opposed to going the civil, administrative route?
It's interesting you bring that up, because our court administrator role was actually opening at around the same time that this position came up. And so I did consider court administrator as a potential career route, but it really felt like being a judge, one, was a natural evolution to what I'd been doing. I'd been in, like you pointed out, I've been almost exclusively my whole career in municipal court. Being in the judicial role is really the culmination of practicing in that court for so long, working with that specific subset of misdemeanors, and working within that system. But also, I really wanted to just be able to give back to the community, to make sure that to do what I could, rather, to try and reach as many people as we can, make as many things, take as many efforts as we could to keep the community safe, but also make sure the court was running correctly, make sure that people were given an opportunity to be rehabilitated if they were in that space, and that people were being punished if it was appropriate. And it was being in the position of being able to make those decisions and make more changes, similar to the PST program, the program that we were just talking about. As a prosecutor, I had a lot of latitude to get that up and running, but obviously I did it at the whim of the court. If the court had refused to support the program, it wouldn't have been able to get wings. And so that's something that I really wanted to be able to do, be in a position to do more things like that. And work some more innovation. When I took the bench, I took over the Veterans Treatment Court. One of the things I've done with the Veterans Treatment Court is I've incorporated a mentorship component. That's something the Veterans Treatment Court was running fantastic. It was our chief judge, Judge Giordani, oversaw it beforehand. The team did very well. They had fantastic success rates. But in looking at things I could do to augment it, this mentorship component was something that is a best practices recommendation from the National Drug Court Conference Committee. And so we've done that. These mentors are people with service history themselves who have dealt with substance use or mental health issues themselves. So they have that shared experience, and they are someone for the participants who is outside the court, a court adjacent, but still involved in the program. Someone they can feel a little more comfortable with, maybe a little more candid with. And we've had a lot of success with that.
Candid means honest. By the way, it's kind of like, remember, a couple of episodes ago, we did a couple of podcasts ago, we did Matt Lay, and Chris Rock always talks about on a first date, you're not meeting the other person, you're meeting that person's representative. You know what I mean? And so the Matt Walker you're seeing right now, this is the representative. That's very professional right now, things of that nature. Overall, mellow guy. So just putting that out there because he's using a lot of $5 words. Jess is actually Googling them secretly right now because he's pretty.
It is.
I'm just going to sit in my corner.
I love you, Jess. Sometimes I just like to break your balls.
On that note, who are you outside of the courtroom?
I don't think I'm that much different. I will say, so Ben asked me what it was that brought me to Vegas. I will say one of the things that brought me to Vegas is the concert scene. When I was growing up here, as a teenager, that's when I first discovered concerts and punk rock in particular. A huge punk rock fan, and there used to be a little music venue called the Sanctuary that was right next to the I'm drawing a blank. It's off of Charleston and Maryland Parkway.
Oh, over by what's that?
Huntridge
Circle.
It was adjacent to the Huntridge Theater, so it was an annex of the Huntridge Theater.
It means next to
this little divey place, and it was just fantastic. I there was a summer I spent so much time there. Just kind of getting in touch with the scene and being involved in that. And we had such a great music scene here, especially now. There was really a drought, I feel like, in the mid 2000s where there weren't a lot of venues. Not that place. It's not.
Like I said, Val's pretty.
I was gonna say it's been a long time.
And actually, let's talk about that because the reason I get into Vegas is I was in San Diego, living in San Diego at the time, and I was dating a girl who didn't necessarily prep well for the California bar. So I had agreed that if she would move out here with me, I would tutor her for the bar and she would take the bar out here. We came out here, she took the bar, she passed it, and so I'm out here because of that. Now, Jess, why did you come out here?
For a girl.
Seems to be a common theme going on here.
Came out here. Girlfriend at the time got a job out here. Went to law school together, and she got a job in the gaming industry.
Did she really?
Yeah.
No shit. And you got to realize, here's what's funny about Jess, and I love this about Jess because Jess is just a fucking character. Jess grew up in Hawaii. Like, why the fuck would you ever leave, right? So not only does this guy leave to go to fucking law school, he decides to go from fucking Hawaii to law school in Michigan. Like, all right,
about that.
Yeah, South Dakota. Like, what's the coldest temp you've seen?
20 below.
Pretty
Fuck that noise. I have never seen negative degrees. Jess grew up where it was between 70 and 80 degrees his entire life.
Forever.
When you got to Michigan, what was the coldest fucking time?
-27.
Holy shit. Did you go outside?
Yeah, I remember I was in a library
look
at
at
the time.
Jess.
Hey, there's me. Oh, that's not me.
Wow.
Whoa.
I like even the sports.
Jessica. That's Jessica.
Yeah, negative.
I like that Eric Zans comes up when you Google Jess Matsuda.
What is that?
When you Google me, Tom Shit comes up.
What do you do when it's -27?
Not a whole lot.
Did you ever do anything
indoors.
stupid like try to spit or pee like outside? What was that called?
Cold plunges.
I remember we used to go to the market to grab beers. And if you forgot the beers in your car,
They'd explode.
they'd explode. Yeah. I did that a few times.
That's
I mean, if you're going for a beer, why would you forget it in your car?
Well, you set up for a party, you grab some drinks,
You throw them in the car. The drinks
Yeah,
are there, so you don't have to
Got it.
grab them.
They're probably extras, but oh man, they would explode.
How long would it take?
for?
Like half hour before they.
Oh,
Explode.
jeez.
Before you
It was
remembered
quick-
they
it
were
was quick. Yeah. By the time you remember it was in your car, they're already exploded.
And so like both of you guys would start your car before you fucking.
Oh, yeah,
half an
yeah.
hour before.
I think I was driving a Jeep Grand Cherokee back then. Yeah, that Grand Cherokee I had when I moved here. But I had a starter. I can't remember what it's called, like a remote starter.
Yeah.
But you have to do that, or you'd have to go out there, start your car, go back in, get ready, and then 15 minutes later, your car's somewhat defrosted from.
So were you like in an apartment, or were you like?
It was a graduate kind of dorm.
So like you didn't have to like shovel snow or shit like that.
No.
How
Yeah.
about you? No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, we were 30 miles from the gas station, so yeah, so there was
the whole half-mile driveway had to be plowed.
we had to shovel snow with heavy equipment.
Yeah.
Jesus.
For that.
30 miles.
Uphill both ways.
Yeah, it was definitely that was a lot of the reason I'm down here. The first
Fair enough. But like when you're in that weather, like -27, -20, like they always talk about how it hurts to breathe, right?
yeah.
What does that mean?
I used to smoke cigarettes.
It
at
means
the
it
time.
hurts to
Yeah.
breathe.
Your lungs would kind of.
you.
Your lungs would burn, but I used to smoke cigarettes when I was in law school. And if you weren't constantly smoking or puffing, your cigarette would go out. You'd have to constantly light it. Yeah. That's how cold it is. That's one of the memories I have from being that cold. You constantly have to light your cigarette.
Like, so law school typically starts like August, right?
Yeah. August, September. Yep.
Okay, so you're coming from Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
70 degrees. When you get there in August, what's the temp?
I think I started in January though.
Oh, you started like have a
Oh.
Yeah, I started in the middle of the
30.
normal term. I remember I got to Michigan. I didn't have a big coat because I think I had a hoodie.
We've heard
I
this
said,
story.
"Ah,
We've
this
heard
hoodie's
this
gonna work."
story.
Oh no.
Yeah. So and I had to catch the bus to like a Marshalls or a Burlington coat factory to get a coat
Yeah.
and bedding and stuff for my dorm, and that was amazing to catch the bus with a hoodie on in that you just pulled up, basically a snowstorm.
Right.
It was kind of it was an eye-opening experience.
Did you like say I instantly regret this decision?
So what is this feeling? What is this white stuff?
All right, so let's get back.
brutal.
I just went on a segue because I was curious. In reading into the next one, like there's certain benefits you get from your job, right? And as a judge, you're not supposed to take those. Fair?
As a judge, you're absolutely not supposed to do anything that could affect the appearance of the office.
Yes. The appearance of impropriety, I believe, is the term. But we have Joe, good old Joe Lombardo, our governor, who on body cam, and it's always funny, like how who orders all these body cams? But so they order the body cam, and Lombardo clearly is trying to get out of the ticket and using his position, and he used to be the sheriff and all these things. And obviously somebody had a problem with it. As a judge, when you see something like this, and I'm not trying to tell you to like indict Joe Lombardo because I get it, but at the same time, like, what do you do in that situation?
I mean, as a judge, frankly, a lot of times I'm not going to see that. As a prosecutor, I would see that right away. I would see the body camera footage. And, if there's something that I felt that I needed to handle the case differently because of how a suspect was acting, I'd take that into account.
See, this is one of the things where communication is important because he's taking it to me and I'm talking as him. I'm saying, as a judge, if you're pulled over, what do you do?
If you
I
You say, I'm Judge Matthew Joker.
Matthew Walker.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I will say,
Never.
if I got pulled over, there was a reason I got pulled over. And
Bullshit.
once I find out the reason, if it's something that I agree with, then and I get a citation, then I pay the ticket. I mean, I did what I'm accused of doing. It's my obligation to pay the penalty. If I hear the reason that I got stopped and I disagree with it, then I'll fight the ticket because that's what the system's there for, is to fight the ticket. But I don't think as a judge that it's my role to do anything other than react the same way any other citizen will.
I was gonna say, can you play? What?
Can you play it? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I haven't seen.
I heard about it. I didn't see.
This is it.
Red light violation.
Hey guys, sir. Good. Sergeant Chico Metro Police. Reason I'm stopping you is for though.
I'm Joe Lumbar.
First thing out.
I can. Yeah.
Homie, he ran your plate. He knows who you are.
Appreciate it.
Well, if you ran his play, why would you stop him in the first place? That's my thing.
Well, here's the thing. You know what's funny? And this is like, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'll bring it up. When I was at the city attorney's office, our boss was Ben Little. And Ben Little was an amazing boss because he was that guy who would let you fail and he would always back you up. And he didn't care who was on the other side. He would always back you. So if there was somebody influential, he would actually take the pressure from up above and let you do your job. And I always respected Ben for that. Politically, we were on totally different sides, but he was, to me, the best boss I ever had, in that he gave you freedom to do your job and he protected you. And the one time I ever was disappointed in Ben is there was a senator at the time. His name was John Ensign, and he got a ticket. And he got a ticket from this guy who is notorious. What was the DUI guy's name?
Laythorpe.
What?
Laythorpe.
Laythorpe. Officer Laythorpe.
Let's
Great
just
dude.
let's mute that name though.
Yeah.
I don't want to get shot.
This officer was a great dude, like solid guy. Defense, prosecution, didn't matter. He was always thorough. He would always do his job. And he,
Notebooks upon notebooks.
oh yeah, and he kept stats. He kept personal stats.
Like that guy.
What
was
happened with every single case.
Intense.
And he actually cited the active senator at the time for distracted driving because the guy was like eating a sandwich while driving or something like that. I remember to this day. And that was the only time I saw Ben like cave to influence, and he dismissed Ensign's ticket. And I was always like, oh, I'm so disappointed in you for that. But like in a position like that, you know, where you are, you know, people look at you a different way when you put on that road, right? Like in a situation like that, how hard is it for you to avoid even unintentionally using that influence?
Well, I think I will just say, thankfully, I haven't gotten pulled over since I've been on the bench.
No, look at me, man. I pull over.
Knock on wood.
How many of my tickets have you done in the past? Like,
Jeez. The Ben Nittick special weekly traffic court sessions.
But when you show up, they're like, again?
Yeah.
that's not a lie, actually.
But it is, I think it's important as a judge to be acutely aware that at any point in time, if you draw attention to the fact or somebody becomes aware that you are an elected official, you are now not just yourself, but you are an avatar for the government. You're an avatar for the city.
Did you use the avatar? What do you mean by avatars?
I love those movies.
Are we talking? Yeah, are we talking like blue people, or are we talking the guy with the arrow on his head? Which one?
There it is.
No, it's the blue people. I'm talking the guy with the arrow on his head.
Or that avatar.
Yeah.
No, I think, and so that's something, you know, anytime I'm interacting with the public, on a personal level, if I go to the grocery store, I go out to eat with my family, I'm aware that, you know, at any point in time, if that comes up, that people are going to consider it in a certain perspective.
Right.
And so that's something that's in the back of my mind, something, you know, I take pains to make sure that it's, you know, if it does come up, that I treat it with the appropriate respect.
Coolest thing you've ever had a dilemma about? Like somebody goes,
As a judge?
yeah, as a judge. Coolest thing. And that's why I clapped.
Oh, as a judge or as a prosecutor?
As a judge. Nobody tried to buy you dinner, free tickets.
So coolest thing?
Yeah.
It's not a dilemma, but I just want to tell this story because it still blows me away. So 3 weeks ago, I'm on the way back from Pahrump. I'm on Highway 160. On the back, you know, turns into Blue Diamond, and I'm just picked my stepson up from his dad's house, and we're on the way back to Vegas. And on the side of the road, in the distance, I can see smoke and fire coming up, and there's people pulled over. They're on their phones, and you know, I could figure it's probably, you know, there's somebody threw a cigarette out, whatever, and not going to be an issue. I get closer, I see the fire is a vehicle. I can see a tire sticking up out of the ditch, still thinking everybody's probably okay. They're outside the vehicle. And then I see a guy running towards the vehicle that's in the ditch. So I'm like, oh, shit, okay. Something's going on. So I pull over, throw the hazards on. I got the kids in the car. I tell the kids, don't leave the car. Stay in the car. Don't get out of the car. 5 and 8, you'll listen. And so I hop out of
For about another like 4 or 5 years tops.
Yeah. So I hop out of the car. I run over to the ditch. I'm in flip-flops, which was a bad choice in retrospect. And the guy that was running towards the vehicle, I can see he's up to the vehicle now. The vehicle is a van. It's like one of those white work vans, and it's flipped on its hung river. Well, it was a dry, and it could have been a dry river. And the other guy is there first, and we can both hear somebody crying inside the van. And we look, and there's this guy, he's sticking shoulders and head out in the van. And he's just like crying, and he's sort of blubbering in Spanish. And we run up, and I sounded like an idiot because my Spanish is about 10%, but I'm trying to speak over Spanish. And we're trying to pull him out. And the van's on fire. So the whole front quarter of the van is on fire. And so the gust has come up. Every time the breeze comes up, it like blows the flames down on us. So we have to back up, get forward, try and pull him out. We can't get him out. And he's just not moving. After about 2 or 3 minutes of this, we're like, now the fire spread to the middle of the van. And I was like, so we both step back. We're trying to figure something out. And at that point, the guy starts throwing up. Ooh. And so whatever shock he was in when he started throwing up, that got him out of it. And so he started moving his leg.
Adrenaline just kicked in.
Right. It somehow just got him out of his shock. So he started moving his legs. However his legs were trapped, I couldn't see like in there. We were able to get him, once he got his legs done, we were able to grab his arms, pull him out, drag him off the hill, and wait himself.
Superhero level shit right there.
I was gonna say, I'm Judge Matt Walker. You throw in your black robe and you fucking yanked him out.
Yeah, I carried it in the
And
car
there just
for
happens
that
to be a film crew right there.
right? Well, so there was the other guy, the guy that ran up with me after Highway Patrol got there. He's like filming the accident because he's a utility worker of some kind. He's in his reflective vest. And he's like, "This is why I'm late. Don't fire me."
How terrible is that?
Awesome.
How terrible is that?
And so that was when I dropped the judge and I said, "Look, if somebody is giving you a hard time, but you need somebody to vouch for you, I'm a judge.
I'm a judge.
Yeah, call me. I'll vouch for you." And
Did you get a call?
I did not get a call, but his immediate response was, "You're a judge. I'm going to vote for you. I've never seen a judge do anything like that."
You know what? You got to get that film posted on your website.
Yes.
Local
Hey,
judge
by
saves
the way,
the world.
send me that video.
Hashtag super judge on Insta.
Well, my first thought was, I've never seen a judge do that. I'm like, how many times have you pulled people out of burning cars?
He goes above and beyond.
Yeah.
This is like the 4th time I had to pull someone out. I've never encountered a judge before.
I'm always waiting for judges to come help me, and they never do. But so that was cool. So that's top of my brain when it comes to like
That actually is
Chance to
pretty
drop.
fucking cool.
I was thinking more like free lap dances at Rio or something.
The burgers there are really good.
The burgers are good there.
I have heard stories of judges.
Oh, this is funny. So I didn't know this. Like, Kyle and Anthony are really good at bringing up topical things that I could care less about. But it sounds like they might be bringing the strip corridor court back, which is this is where crimes are committed on the strip. Your major casinos. They were talking about creating a court. They did for a while.
Yeah.
Where you would essentially stay away from the strip for a year, do certain things, and then, you'd be allowed back, for lack of a better term. It was a huge publicity thing for the chief judge at the time, Saragossa, who created more problems than she solved, in my opinion. But what's ironic about the resort corridor court and the potential of them bringing it back, it was a mess at the time, and I guess politicians don't realize that, so they're going to bring it back.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but what's funny is, and I know that Judge Walker knows this, is the city has had a resort corridor court for years.
Yeah.
And that's the order out.
Order out from Fremont.
Yeah.
It's going to have. We adopted an order out. In fact, you'll remember this, Ben, back when you were a prosecutor back in 2008, we had order outs as a component of regular city sentencing. And, I don't know if that inspired the resort corridor, but I think that, seeing that had worked in the past might have been something that factored into that.
Well, what was funny about that is it went away for a minute. Like we did it for a while and then it went away. But they definitely brought it back before the county had adopted the resort.
They did. So the city council actually passed a new ordinance, and I believe a set of ordinances that reincorporates the order out corridor as a component of a potential city sentence. And so the order out corridor comprises a certain geographic space downtown.
And it's essentially Fremont Street and Naked City. And for those of you who don't know, Naked City is where the strippers used to live back in the 60s and 70s. And they would suntan on top of their roofs. They would be naked because they're strippers. And so it was always called Naked City. A little bit of hidden Vegas history for you.
And so Strat, right?
Yeah, it's a couple of blocks around the Strip.
Yeah.
Which is the only major casino in the city limits.
It's the only one on the Strip. So we've got all the casinos downtown. So the Circa, Golden Nugget.
Like I said, those are Fremont Street casinos, not Strip casinos.
Fair.
But what's funny is the city one, by and large, there's always tweaks, but it worked.
What's the main argument against? Because I know that was the holdup, right? That's why they did away with the corridor order outs to begin with.
Well, the reason they got rid of it in the county is because it was a mess. They didn't know how to do it.
So it was just procedurally.
Yeah, they totally foo.
I thought they had a legal argument that you can't ban someone from 10 blocks.
How would you enforce that?
Easy if you're picked up again.
It's basically a trespass. You can't trespass on this street.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which is the Strip.
But the city, by and large, it always worked.
Since the ordinance has been adopted, I know the city attorney's office, when I was in there, we utilized it as a sentencing component, and they continue to use it as a sentencing component. Now, it is separate from it's distinguishable from the county version in that there's not a dedicated docket for participants or for defendants.
The entire meeting board is essentially the order out.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a tool that that seems to have been effective. I don't know that anyone's compiled statistics. I think it would be very interesting to see what the reduction in recidivism has been for people that are on the order outs. I know I see order outs being imposed regularly as part of negotiations, and I would say I see order out violations occur regularly as well.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's effective, or I believe it is effective, but the statistics, how effective it is, I think it would be fantastic if we were able to get some data on it.
Okay. Now, one of the things is you were appointed, so that essentially means the city council chose you to be a judge when Judge Leon retired. Having run my own judicial campaign, talk me through it. How do you feel about it? Asking for money is the fucking worst.
It is very different. Talk about learning curves. As a city attorney, it was very rare that there were political considerations that I had to take into account. There was a handful of high-profile cases I was involved in, but typically management would give direction in those cases, and so it just wasn't something that I was very well versed in. I've been very lucky that there have been a lot of people willing to give me their advice from their experience and give me direction. I've got a great campaign manager that's been,
Who are you using?
Jim Ferentz.
Okay.
And, obviously he has, he's got decades of experience, and he's been, just extremely helpful in, guiding me in the right direction and directing me. But yeah, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of, things like this, getting out and talking to people, getting exposure, and getting people a chance to get to know who I am and my perspective and my outlook on the job. And that's really, I think, the most challenging part is to find all those outlets to reach ears, to reach eyes, because a lot of times these lower ballots races just don't garner a lot of attention. We've got, municipal court. There's a lot of people, and like you had to explain earlier, what municipal courts are, because there's a lot of people in the Valley that don't realize there even are Las Vegas municipal courts. And so education and exposure, I think, have been the biggest challenges, but it really has been a lot of fun. I've met so many people in so many different facets of the city that I never had, that I never came across before. And, it's that part's been really cool. And just, reaching out to people. I've been shocked at the number of people that will actually answer their phone and take the time to listen to a political candidate. And so, it's encouraging too, because it is easy to feel a little bit jaded with the political process, and to see that there are people still interested in not just, trying to pick up on talking points, but actually talk about issues, talk about things that we as judges do on the bench.
And one of the things, like, it's funny, like, I know Matt, obviously, Jess knows Matt. Like, you're a good dude. Like, with the mental health court that you created, like, you do this shit because you see it as a solution. You're not doing it, like, when you did it, you weren't thinking, oh, I'm going to run for judge someday, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so one of the things that's funny is, like, when you do good things, when you're running, all of a sudden you have to talk about these things and, like, all the good things you do. And on some level, it's got to kind of feel dirty, right?
It is interesting when it comes to motivations. And the nice thing about the PST program is I started it 7 years ago, I think. And so that was clearly something that was not created as a result of me being on the bench. One of the things that I'm working on right now is the implementation of the intelligent speed assist device for repeat traffic offenders.
Hey, that's bullshit.
Ben's pissed.
You just lost my vote.
Only for people that are I've been saying that are the worst of the worst. People
That's bullshit.
And right now,
All right, so explain this to me, because I'm about to go on my fucking high horse in a second.
all right,
So tell me what the fuck you guys are doing in the city.
I should have kept my mouth shut.
Goddamn right.
Well, let me start by saying, not us guys in the city. It's just something that Municipal One is doing, but it's something fascist. And there are other jurisdictions that use these things. So what they are, it's an aftermarket device that eventually,
And they use it to prey on minorities. I'm just sounding.
aftermarket device that vendors will put on the vehicle as a result of sentencing, or
Oh my God!
Wait,
fucking
what?
big brother
Wait, what?
motherfuckers! You're putting
it's on the vehicle.
You are essentially putting like a monitor.
Tracking device?
Oh my God! Don't
No,
you
like
believe in
regulating
Constitution?
speed.
right now it's just opt-in. So it's opt-in as a potential part of a negotiation. And the idea is it's for people that have picked
On a fucking misdemeanor, on an infraction.
multiple reckless driving tickets.
What does multiple mean? What does multiple mean?
But what if those get reduced?
How many a year?
2 a year?
Bet it's screwed. 2, 4, bro.
And we are still in the pilot phase.
It's like, I always tell people, like, the thing is, obviously we do a lot of personal injury, and my father-in-law is an insurance adjuster for one of the big companies, and the big companies, they put out this thing that you could put on your car. Yeah. What is it like? And
Progressive had that. You
safe driving discount or whatever.
Yeah.
All they're doing is they're collecting your data to use it against you in the future.
Yeah.
They're not doing it to give you a discount. They're doing it to fuck you. And so in a situation like this, obviously the city's a little bit more open about it, but they're using this device to fuck you. That's my right.
Yeah, what's the that? What's the
All right,
that?
so talk about it again, because I cut you off. I did what I did when I was a defense attorney and just bullied the shit out of you.
No.
He said he was going on a
appreciate-
tangent.
I appreciate divisive viewpoints.
Yes.
Again, the idea is it's for somebody that has repeat offenses or particularly severe reckless driving. This is not somebody that's going 5, 10, 15, 20 miles over the speed limit.
30.
30, 40. Even in those circumstances, the first one we put on it, this was a young man that had a DUI, also had a reckless driving associated, had pending similar charges in another jurisdiction, was facing jail time, and we placed the device on as an alternative. So I think it's only in the more extreme.
Yeah, but there was still suspended time hanging over his head, right?
Oh, there already was.
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months.
And did it work?
So far so good.
Okay.
How long into it?
We're actually only about a month into it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we'll see.
But those are the sort of things where I'm looking for spaces to innovate, spaces to address things that we're not addressing. The mental health issues, when we had people that were in custody, that the traditional tools as a prosecutor were not working to reduce the recidivism. I started to look for other things.
Here's what's interesting, though. One of the things is the city doesn't have a dedicated drug court. Do you understand
Great point.
or what is the motivation, if you know,
Mm-hmm.
about why they never created a drug court for the city of Las Vegas?
I don't. My suspicion is because the drug courts, the specialty courts that we have in municipal court were created one at a time. I think when those judges that were championing their creation were doing so, they had a specific population in mind that they were trying to target. And I think that's why we don't have a dedicated drug court currently. We did actually have, and you probably remember this, we did have a drug court in Municipal Court Department 3 that ran some, it was
Are you talking about Judge Assad or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was some crazy shit.
Oh, I remember
That was this Judge Assad.
Look at this picture.
Judge Assad was this guy. He was kind of just a lock-em-up guy. Love him to death. One of the best sports bettors you'll ever meet in your life.
The horses, man. He's good.
But like, good dude off the bench. But when he was on the bench, man, that dude was
He was
crazy. People were going to jail.
Oh,
And so he would have these pictures, like the time-lapse photos of people like, this is when they started.
yeah.
This is 3
It
months.
started
in.
with a meth picture, and
Yeah.
it ended up with that's what you look like on weed.
What? And so I'm not necessarily going to agree that there was a true drug court with Judge Assad running. Love him to death once again.
Oh, he did have a drug court. I remember that. Yeah. No, he just yeah, he was entertaining. I love that. What happened? Campbell took it over, and we got mental health court. Well, what happened?
No, because Almasi took it over, and she had that traffic court called Stop Court. That was just a mess.
Yeah, she had stop court. She also had mental health or hope court.
Oh, she did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I think that is the, that's where the blind spot has come up is all of our specialty courts, each of the 6 criminal judges have our own specialty court, but it's all for a specific population. My veterans court, self-explanatory. We have a youth offender court in Municipal 5. We have a women in need trauma court in Municipal 6.
That's called Hope Court.
It's called WIN court.
Yeah, it's called Hill Court.
And so there are, because there, we have specified to hit a specific population, we don't have a dedicated drug court. But I think part of it,
Hose, homeless, vets,
DUI.
traffic. Oh yeah, DUI. I was the DUI court defense attorney for years. Fucking brilliant court. Just saying.
very high success rate.
Yes, it's true. I successfully kept them all out of jail.
What's your most memorable case? Whether prosecution, judge,
Oh boy.
like the one that sticks with you. Can you talk about it?
I was gonna say, yeah, I can't talk about anything that's not adjudicated. But there were a lot of vehicular manslaughter cases that I was involved in as a prosecutor that were very difficult because we interacted a lot with the victims' families and the circumstances, especially when children were involved. A lot of those stick in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I think the probably my most memorable case was the one that we went to Court of Appeals, just because it was something that I was with so long, and we did have to go through the process of the appeal. We had to go through the process of appealing it to the Court of Appeals, and so I guess that's one I think that'll carry. If it's a domestic violence case, it was on video, but it was a disparate scenario where we had female defendant, male victim, and there was some concern that the defense raised concerns that the male victim had maybe staged the incident, and so we had to get through all those issues. And so I think that's the one that sticks with me the most.
When I was a prosecutor, vehicular manslaughter, for people who don't know, that's essentially where
Accident.
Yeah, it's like you committed a traffic infraction and unfortunately somebody died. Like you weren't drunk, you weren't high, you weren't driving recklessly.
Like,
it literally was an accident.
Ran a red light.
Yeah, something like that. I once had one. I'm such a terrible fucking person. I once had one as a prosecutor, and the defendant was a school bus driver. And if you're convicted of a vehicular manslaughter, you lose your license for a year. That's just part of the sentence. And so, obviously, with this woman, sweet woman, I felt terrible for her, but she would have lost her job. and she was represented by Vince Consul, God rest his soul, who was a representative for the Clark County School District. Excellent attorney, class guy. But what had happened was there was a girl who had Down syndrome who was walking in front of the bus, and the bus driver had let out her people. She did not drive the short bus. And so the little person with Down syndrome walked in front. She was so small that the woman didn't see her, hit her, ran her over. Terrible, terrible. I don't think that anybody could have punished the defendant more than she was punishing herself. She truly was a sweet woman, but it was just, sometimes you deal with things, and doing this job for so long, you do get jaded. And so you have to make jokes, but that case still sticks with me to this day. And that reminds me, speaking of little person with Down syndrome getting hit by a bus, one of the things that I just remembered about Mr. Walker, Judge Walker here, he actually rode on the short bus to school every day.
No.
Was that Sylvia?
That was Sylvia.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sylvia was another prosecutor. She was from Iowa, another small town, but yeah, she had to ride on the short bus.
Judge Walker's like, excuse me. No.
No,
I have buses, man.
No, we didn't. I had to walk.
They didn't even have buses.
Through a field and climb over 2 barbed wire fences. I still have a scar from.
How far is this?
Is that a half mile?
Half a mile
In the snow.
As the crow flies, because apparently he's cutting through people's property.
Is that one of those situations where you could have got your driver's license at like 14 or whatever?
I did get my driver's license at 14.
No shit.
I was 15. I got my driver's. Really? Yeah. You know, back in my day in Hawaii, it was 15.
So I got it when I was
I got it when I was 21 because I just used my brother's license. So if I ever got a ticket, it was on him.
Statute of limitations runs there a law.
I didn't get any tickets. I actually got out of a couple of tickets, and I said, "You're welcome."
No, it's
Jesus.
I will say those vehicular manslaughter cases, they have, there were some of the most sort of rewarding moments, though, that I saw. We had one that was in front of now retired Judge Roger, where the victim's family and the defendants actually had a conversation during the sentencing, and the victim's family talked about how much talked about forgiving, but also about wanting the defendant not to have his life ruined. He was a young man, not having his life ruined because of this, and wanting him to be able to move on, but at the same time, him
Be accountable.
Well, him being held accountable, but also his respect back to them and his apologetic nature.
Because when all said is done, there's still the fact that somebody died because of it.
Right.
Even if it wasn't intentional, and like that's what vehicular manslaughter. Like, look, I've done murders, I've done rapes, I've done child molestation cases.
Oh, that's weird.
Why would you?
Staffing.
No.
Cut.
Sutter bitch. But those cases sucked because literally nobody wanted that to happen. Nobody was acting in a reckless fashion. There is no winner in a misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter.
I think those are the worst cases.
Yeah.
But remorse is a big deal, right? I mean,
Yeah, I had one actually in Judge Rogers' court too, where it was a vehicular manslaughter. What happened was my client had essentially an episode and a seizure. And so she didn't slow down, nailed the guy, killed it. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so he's contributory, he contributed to it. Not guilty. I think Alicia to this day still hates me for that one. But
No.
But what sucked was in every one of those cases I've done, there's been a remorse.
Yeah.
This lady gave 2 fucks. 2 fucks. And to this day, still remember your name. I'm not going to say it out loud, you bitch. But older woman, realtor, but totally unrepentant. And like,
Even if it's an accident, you gotta
Yeah,
feel for the
it's-
family.
it's-
That's you just gotta have
a
the
life
human
is,
nature. kicks in,
yeah.
like,
I mean,
damn,
you're
I'm
taking a
sorry.
life. It's whether intentional or not. It's like remorse.
one of our employees' father was driving, and he took a left-hand turn, and there was somebody on a motorcycle who was speeding, and so obviously motorcycle hits car, flies off motorcycle, guy passes away. Our employee's dad doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs. I think he was a diabetic, but I don't remember. but sweet man who was incredibly hard. I'm not going to say it on the air. I'll say after.
Yeah.
But
I don't even
Send me for confirmation.
incredibly sweet man. But the prosecutors came out full bore. It was so funny. They're like, charge him with DUI, like, you know, all these crazy conditions, like, you know, like shit they do in the city normally. Scrambled all this stuff. Blood results came back, nothing in his system whatsoever. So it took this felony DUI that they had, and they banged it down to a misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter. And I was talking to him, and I was like, oh, we have some play here. And he's like, I don't care. I'm pleading guilty because that guy lost his life. And I respected it because he felt so terrible about just the simple act of taking a left.
Right.
But he wanted to be accountable for that action. And I still respect him to this day for that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Jesus. What's up, buddy?
Now because you mentioned he was diabetic, some diabetic episodes can mimic DUI, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially when you're insulin dependent, you don't have it. You can appear foggy. You can appear, you know,
Slurring your words.
Yeah. Glassy, water, bloodshot eyes.
Confused.
Yeah. And so I guess, you know, we'll follow it up. Have you had a situation, because as a prosecutor, it's your job to, whatever's on paper, I mean, within reason, obviously, you believe it, right? If officer writes it up. Have you had a situation where you caught an officer in a lie yet?
No, I've never had a situation where there was something just blatantly incorrect in versus testimony versus what's on the written page.
Yeah.
But you know, I that is always a concern when it comes to any witness.
Yeah.
As a prosecutor, you want to evaluate, you know, you want to evaluate everyone's veracity, and
That's truthfulness.
and
Layman's terms.
I will say, and the defense attorneys, you know, for good reasons, will bring that up and say, well, this isn't exactly how it happened, or like you said, you know, maybe they made some assumptions here, so it's not an out and out lie, but they presume. You know, one of the things that, as a prosecutor, I actually found really helpful was when they adopted the body-worn cameras, when they started bringing those on, because that really and
Anthony, get some goddamn glasses.
Thank
Jesus
you.
Christ,
I'm
man.
sorry. I'm distracted.
Anthony said
I'm
three.
like,
Sorry,
Anthony's
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Matt, but Anthony's literally 3 inches away from the screen as I'm watching him, and it's just painful.
It's like
man.
poltergeist. You're gonna fall into it.
All right, so
well,
sorry about that.
no, I was just gonna say, I think the body-worn cameras really help mitigate a lot of those concerns.
Yeah, I think ICE officers really hate.
Oh. They just off topic, but they just named it. They just finally got the name for that.
The one in Maine.
Yeah,
Didn't his own family come out and say, yeah, he had no?
I think
For the victim or the officer?
The officer's family.
Officer.
Oh, I don't know. I just saw like his ex-girlfriend was on CNN. Like, this is him. I was like, holy shit. She just dropped everything on him.
Woman scorned.
Yeah. She's like, I know who he is, and I was like, awkward.
But like in a situation, I guess I should have phrased it a little bit better, because I don't want to put you on the spot and say all officers lie. But like, the first time you felt an officer was incredible, be it the evidence, be it whatever, you know, and that first not guilty you had as a judge, like, you have a problem with it at all?
they feel dirty.
Yeah,
It felt dirty.
yeah. Did you feel like, oh, these guys are gonna go down?
You
and
feel
talk
like you
shit
had to
about me
take a
downstairs?
shower after.
No, and I've been on the bench since February, but I have not had a trial proceed where I felt like the officer's testimony wasn't credible. That being
That and somebody else's testimony was bullshit.
That being said, I have issued several not guilty verdicts. In fact, the testimony, just as a judge that I've heard, has been encouragingly forthcoming. I've had officers on the stand multiple times in the last, since February of last year, say, I don't know, I don't remember. That could be the case. Those sort of things where they were just candid. This is what I remember. This is what I don't remember. And I appreciate that as a judge far more than I would someone getting up there and say, well, this is what I think happened, or speculate. And as a prosecutor, that's something I always used to tell witnesses is, as soon as you get up there and equivocate, or if you get up there and you say something that, you're making assumptions or you're just outright lying, that's opening the door. The defense attorney has the reports in front of them. You have to be as forthcoming as you can, even if it's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's one of the funny things is whenever I don't know if you do this, Jess, but like I don't really listen to all of my clients' version of events because I don't want to be locked into a story.
Oh yeah.
But I do always tell them, if you're going to testify to what you know.
Right.
Don't add, because if you add, that's where you're going to get tricked.
I mean, I think both sides. I never prosecuted a trial on the prosecution side, but once a witness starts embellishing and just throwing stuff in there, it just ruins everything for both sides.
Oh, 100%.
Prosecution and defense. It's just tell it like it is. Just tell me what happened. Tell your side of the story. That's it.
One of the things that's funny, and Judge will appreciate this, is that the city of Las Vegas courts of limited jurisdiction, they only cover misdemeanors. In certain jurisdictions, they do preliminary hearings, which is a probable cause hearing to bring a case up to jury trial, but that's not important. But in any of the municipalities, the biggest cases and the biggest pains in the asses are the quality of life cases. And what I mean are dog barking cases, in HOA cases, like somebody puts up a sign that's disparaging of somebody else. Those are always like, I remember Marty Orsinelli, he never did trials. Like Marty did not do trials. He was caught in a 3-day fucking dog barking trial. And I'm talking typical trial in muni court, 3 hours tops, right?
Yeah.
We're talking a solid 24 hours of testimony
Martin?
in a dog barking case. And I remember it distinctly. It was in front of Assad, so it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And
So everyone went to jail.
but the woman gets up to testify, and she's got a full-on rebreather. And realize this is like 10 years before COVID, right? So she's got one of those like mining masks with the 2 canisters on the side. And she's saying the dog barking caused her so much stress that she developed breast cancer because of the dog bark.
Shit.
And she said that with a straight face.
That's a stretch. Jesus.
There are definitely some causation issues there.
I was going to say, I hope they ask for some medical documentation, something there.
Have you had like quality of life cases?
I have had some of the Fremont Street violation, which can
The noise ordinance.
well the circle consistency. So
okay.
someone performing outside of a circle, and someone performing whether or not they're performing during the appropriate times, which are really quality of life adjacent.
Yeah. They're not as crazy, but they are crazy. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I do remember that one with the dog barking one with Marty, though, because that was before my time, but the visual aid was still there.
Oh, was it?
He had actually blown up. I don't know if you remember, he had they'd done a diagram of the neighborhood, and he'd blown it up on a 3x5 poster board so that the judge had an appropriate picture of how close everything was to scale. And I think that was in the office for another 10 years after the trial.
That's funny because Jess had a case like that. First jury trial ever.
It was a 70-inch flat screen TV.
Jess's first trial out of the gate was a sex assault case, and it was kind of a Romeo and Juliet type thing that blew up his face.
That was my
He
hero.
was like 18 or 20, right?
18.
And she was like 14?
No, she was 14 at the time. No.
13.
He was 17 and she was 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long and short of this is that in a sex assault case, if there's damage to certain private areas, they have to document it, and oftentimes they'll show up.
They're called same nurses. They have to do
So
exactly
the prosecution had put up a picture of the
tear in her vaginal area.
victim's vaginal area, but it was on a 70-inch screen.
It was fucking IMAX, man.
And so Jess asked the question to the extent of like, now, the vagina you see here, that's not the actual size of her vagina. And obviously the
And it wasn't.
But the judge in the case is somebody we know for years, Judge Hearn.
He's a Supreme Court.
He is. He might
Justice.
actually be the chief Supreme Court justice now.
He is currently the chief.
Jeez,
So
Supreme
Chief
Court
Justice,
Justice.
He said that was the funniest thing he had ever heard.
Yeah. In his years of hearing trials, he was like, "Hey, Jess, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard." Thanks, Judge.
Doesn't have the little, not actual size.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. I mean, it's the way
This tear
the
is
way
not
I
actual
asked the
size.
question was horrible. But everything looks. My point was, and you get my point. Is
I do.
everything looks big on an IMAX screen. So they show a centimeter sized tear, which looks crazy on an IMAX fucking projection. So I'm trying to tell the jurors, like, it's not that big, right? It's like,
It's the Grand Canyon. It's the Grand Canyon on the screen.
No, appreciate this. And I know Just does because we make fun of it all the time. It's like the difference between city court and like county court is like every crazy, ridiculous scenario shows up in city court. Like you just have some nonsense. Like I talked about, prosecuting somebody who was eating a chili dog. Like I remember one time there was a case where there was this like 70, 80-year-old woman who was rough and she advertised massages. Well, what she would do is get handies. So these guys would go and they'd get handies from her, but she put on porn, so they'd watch the porn. So they would get aroused because she's 70, 80 years old. And
Gummies.
she would manually, not orally. She would, give them a happy ending. And like those cases are like normal in this city.
yeah.
That was the very first trial I saw.
Oh, really? It was in Kurds.
Yep. Denisha Campbell put the trial on. I was sitting there. It was during my training week, and it really set a perspective for me for what to expect.
He's like, Vegas is my place.
The beauty of the city, and just we spent at least 20 years there. But like city stuff is just every ridiculous
comical.
scenario.
It's comical. It's like the best I saw was a criminal complaint you guys filed was, I can't remember. It was basically, I'm sorry, Mom, if my mom watched it. I don't know if my mom watched this, but titty fucking. But you guys artfully said it in your complaint. I can't remember what it was called.
How is titty fucking a crime?
It was a prostitution charge. So it was like 2-wit, 7-Eleven hot dog for mandatory intercourse.
A chili dog for
What is
a
it called? Shit.
I mean,
Basically, but that was the best complaint I've ever seen.
I had one up in my office when I was a prostitute once, and there was a attorney. We'll cut his name out, but I'll say it for Judge Walker's memory. But there's an attorney in town. Actually, I won't say his name. I'll say that he was Stanford smart.
I
don't know.
Oh, there we go.
A guy went to Stanford, but he was such an idiot that
He
he was
spelled Stanford wrong.
he spelled Stanford with a D, so it was Stanford. But he had this case where, and he was this big,
He was big. He was a big dude.
giant human being. It's flying practice squad for the Packers.
Same.
But
I think it was
No,
the
it's
Saints. Was it the Packers?
that's shamanic.
Nah, I don't want to say double it.
But he like found Jesus and all this stuff, but he was totally into some seedier areas. The Jesus stuff was a front. But I remember the complaint was he came home and his stepdaughter was having a threesome. And he was pissed off that his stepdaughter was having a threesome.
And he wasn't invited.
Yes. And so his wife came home. So he starts lighting into his wife about the threesome. And the stepdaughter felt that her mom was threatened. Like, yeah, this guy's a huge fucking dude. With like his hands were like fucking
No, he was
like
huge. He was a big.
he could probably palm my head.
oh, you got a big head.
But so the rest of the story is, so stepdaughter comes out with a stripper pole from her room and starts hitting the attorney with the stripper pole to protect her mom. And like, that's just what happens in the city. And that's normal occasion.
He was a victim on a case I had, a client I had. He was the named victim on a. I don't know if I should say this, but yeah, it was a DV charge. But he was the big. I was like, how?
Struck by a stripper pole.
How? You're 6'6", 350. You're fucking huge.
It was a giant unit, very big. I think he moved north.
So I'll say the craziness continues. One of my favorite Jess stories. Jess was not even there for her. So when you were filling in for the public attorney, or at a trial, and I don't even know the subject of the trial, what the charge was, but it didn't go the defendant's way. He ended up being convicted and doing a substantial amount of jail time
Because you weren't there.
He never lost.
Because you weren't there, Jess.
And you were filling in for Leslie. So Leslie Park is the contractor.
Okay. So this is a Department 5 case.
Yep.
What
So
it
this
does?
guy gets sentenced and serves the sentence, and when he gets out, he's very unhappy. And so he goes to Leslie Park's office,
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
and he says,
BRB.
he says, Leslie screwed me over. I need to see Leslie. I need to talk to him. And Leslie's assistant goes,
He's a female, by the way.
his assistant goes, well, you mean Mrs. Park? He's like, no, I don't mean Mrs. Park. I mean Mr. Park.
I mean, her husband.
And she goes, there is no Mr. Park. He said, yeah, it's Leslie Park, little Japanese guy.
Oh.
The Japanese guy with the hair bud.
And Leslie Park is blonde
Yeah.
and female.
She's a female blonde.
And the secretary was so confused that it just confused the defendant, and eventually he just left.
That's amazing.
That's just our game plan.
Avoided some
That was our game
difficult
plan.
conversation.
Different topic, touching on punk. What's your favorite band? Punk band.
Oh boy. I'm a huge NoFX fan. I really like NoFX. And I like what they're done with the punk rock museum downtown. I think it's, if you're interested at all in that sort of aesthetic, where's the punk rock?
It's right there, right when we come off the freeway, when you take the neon exit.
Yeah.
It's right there on the corner when you come to the stoplight.
On the right or left?
Right. The black building.
It's big black and with like
Big black building. With the neon.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I did see that. I didn't know that was a.
Right next. Oh, you might understand. Little Darlings. Right next to Little Darlings.
I know where that is. You should have started with
Got
that.
it.
No, it's a fantastic installation. Like they really very well curated. Very
See?
Interesting.
The way you just.
That's why every chair is broken in this building.
Man, it's my fault. I'm a big dude.
So
Yes.
no effects and
no effects, and I'm a ska fan also. So real big fish.
Real big fish.
Near and dear to my heart. I
clap.
used to come to Vegas every year.
Goldfinger.
Never miss them for when they would come
That
here.
was my jams back in high school. That was my.
Yeah, you like Pennywise too, right?
They're not bad. I like Pennywise. They're all right.
Yeah.
I just saw them. I just saw them this weekend.
Where's she been?
And Vandals.
Oh wow, that's classic.
Yeah, that's what I grew up on, man. That was my high school. I was in the ska synchro had a minute.
Well, and that's when it was big, in the mid '90s.
Real Big Fish, Pet Cat, Rancid, NoFX.
The Hippos were around back then. Bucko 9.
Descendants.
Yeah.
There was a band back in the day called Fish Bone. Fish Bone was a, popular punk band. I went to UCLA, and being in LA, you see a lot of bands. But Fish Bone, the thing is they would always play like small venues, but they always played as Trulio Disgraces. So you ever saw Trulio Disgraces on the headline, it was Fish Bone. And so you would always be like, fuck yeah, and you go and see them. This is obviously before like social media, because I'm ancient. It's true.
Stop.
We're old.
So yeah, I love Fish Bone.
Yeah. They're still around.
We are there.
Side note, off topic. Can we just do a segment of just Jess's facial expressions? Because I'm watching his facial expressions through this whole thing, and I'm like,
What am I doing?
everything. Or you're like,
What? I do that?
yeah, yo, you're making. They'll get it.
If they ISO your facial expressions, it like come in cold.
It's
cold, Jerry.
Yes, I'm just sitting here watching it, and then you're looking at your phone, the facial, just all your facial expressions.
Right, like man, what's it called?
very
What's that called? The kids are doing nowadays. They fucking they make their face like.
My orphan?
Is that orphan? I don't know. Like
Mogging?
mogging. That's the term. Right? Let me see what mogging is.
Look at,
Yeah, don't do that.
yeah, never mind.
Hey, yeah, stop doing that.
That seems like it should be on a completely different kind of.
That's the news to me.
Like mogging?
But
All right, but we're running a little bit long because I like to talk to our friends. But yeah, so you're putting the work. You honestly put in the work to get where you are. And what do you want people to know about you? What is the one thing in terms of you being a judge? Like, what's your pitch? Why should these people be voting for you?
yeah, absolutely. A few things. One, I think we've talked about it quite at length, but my experience. No one has the same level of experience. Nobody's practiced in municipal court nonstop for more than 18 years. Nobody has the understanding of the ins and outs and the procedures.
Like 2 years.
But not uninterrupted.
No.
And so so I bring that that institutional knowledge. I bring those relationships with court staff, with the city attorney's office, with our public attorneys.
This is a plus.
With our public attorneys, which I will throw out there, the judicial performance review, I scored a 94% for. Oh, sure. Thank you, both of you.
I did see that. That's impressive.
I will pay for the fucking RJ's, like, whatever you have to pay to get that in.
You were highest rated.
90.
Highest rated municipal court.
Rate is fucking solid.
It was amazing.
And that's legit. Like, some of that stuff out there's bullshit, but those judicial ratings, because they're by attorneys.
Yes, they're by attorneys. Yeah, that's impressive.
No, thank you. No, I was very humbled by that. I think it is the sort of thing that, really sets a high bar. If I've got that support, I need to keep up what I'm doing to maintain that support. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I want to do moving forward is not only continue remaining consistent, but also maintain a judicial perspective and have the right temperament. I think that's incredibly critical. I'm sure you guys have both seen judges on the bench not act in a judicial way.
We talked about this yesterday.
Act in a way, but and we just talked about this, and especially with the volume that we talked about, with the need for efficiency as a judge, you have to be able to keep things moving. You have to be able to give each case the appropriate amount of time, give each case the import it deserved, but at the same time, not let things become derailed. Not let people who have an agenda come in to change the narrative. Not let people who are scared or people who are emotional, people who are angry, treat them with respect as well. Treat them with dignity as well. And I think that's difficult to find in candidates for the bench because it is a hard thing to do. It is hard to be able to reset every time and give people the dignity they deserve. And
plus, he's fucking better than the competition.
Well, and I will say, lastly, my interest in innovating and looking at the way the system works and trying to find ways to make it better. The PST program that we talked about,
fucking best of that traffic.
Adding the mentorship element. I will throw something out that is not in the works, but I would love to see happen. Kind of a pie in the sky, but I've thrown this out before. Is I would love to see a night court. I would love to see a docket because
That hasn't been around in Assad, right?
No, even before then. Oh, Assad didn't have
We had to have it.
but
there were like all these employment issues that
That was a TV show.
yeah, it was nice. But
You kind of look like the judge from fucking Nightport. I forget his name.
not quite as gray yet, but I'm getting there. No, it is the sort of thing where I think that would really be a service to the community. Obviously, witnesses have to take time off from work to be present for trials.
$35.
Did they raise that? Is it 35 still?
I think it's still 25.
No, oh really?
Yeah.
25?
And
make that $1,000 out.
Cut that out.
but also for defendants. I mean, defendants are still they still have schedules they have to maintain. They still have jobs they have to maintain. They have to worry about childcare. And I think it's the sort of thing that all the participants in the criminal justice system could benefit from. So, long-term plans, that's something I'd love to see. But because I'm interested in expanding the things that we can do at the court, I think that sets me apart from a lot of people that are interested in these types of jobs.
Awesome. And look, guys, I love this kid. I'm very fucking proud of you. 18 fucking years.
Yeah.
Grown up.
Yep.
You're a big boy now, man.
Big boy.
Right.
You're a fucking big boy.
Long ways from
And
Winter, South Dakota.
And I was going to say, I will throw out, you can see all my endorsements, but obviously, in addition to 94% approval ranking, I've got a lot of endorsements. I've got the Metro endorsement as well as Highway Patrol from the labor unions of those organizations, as well as many other organizations, including the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, the Asian American Group, JudgeMattWalker.com.
That's just for you.
That's just sort
That is Seth. That's us. Just say spot.
At JudgeMattWalker.com if you want to find out more about me, or you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. both just Judge Matt Walker. You can see what I'm doing on a more regular basis. Obviously, with appearances like this, we'll post those, but just sort of events I'm getting out to. Or if you want to get in touch with me, if you've got just questions or things you think that might be a good space for me to show up and kind of talk about what I'm doing. But I guess I think that kind of covers it.
Right. Look, guys, we fucking love this guy. Legit love this guy. He grew up with us. We never grew up, but 18 years. I cannot endorse somebody stronger than I would endorse this fucking little shit next to me. Matt Walker, get your vote. He's an amazing fucking guy, and he gives a shit, which is what matters more than fucking him.
That's true.
If you give a shit,
Oh wow.
you deserve to be on the bench.
Look at that.
Don't do it because the hours. Don't do it because you feel that it's a great job for daycare and shit like that.
Oh, there we go. Oh, there.
I saw the blonde highlights and I was like, what the hell is that? But that's our episode, From the Beach to the Bar. Bi-monthly. Watch it. Watch it so you can see and learn about shit like for people like Judge Walker. People who care, people who give back to the community, people who will benefit you in the long term if you take the effort and actually vote for someone.
Know who you're voting for.
Yep.
Yes, informed. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all so much. I appreciate getting the chance again. Like we talked, getting exposure, getting people to know who I am is the hardest part and stuff like this. It's a global platform. So
Hey, never.
Thank you for being here.
Just remember,
vote for Matt Walker.
vote on Matt Walker. Oh,
Las Vegas Municipal Court.
Get you fixed, then we'll get you.
hey.
There we go.
Bye.
Bye.